We are meaning makers. We are the storytellers. We are the image makers. We are the editors of history, writers of an anticipated future, visionaries of limitless possibilities. With words we restrain and expand, build and deconstruct. We are meaning makers.
Here every stone clings to its inch of soil. The monument shelters the dead from hunger as from pain. Traces in bone and scar the hard descent. Below, in the stark intrusion of the mill, others renew the battle for the hills.
They say if it all goes wrong, often nothing, just pray along. They say it almost feels like someone holding a flame beneath the hand that deals. They say it's a living thing, no better time to die with your desire to kill. They say it's a splendid sight, peeping into their case of dynamite. I don't mean nothing, I don't mean nothing to you. I don't mean nothing, nothing don't mean that I want. They say it's an acquired taste, playing your part in some greater escape. They say it's gonna pass us by, as storm clouds darken Middle Eastern skies. I don't mean nothing, I don't mean nothing to you. I don't mean nothing, and nothing don't.
For Talbot, a town built on steel and shaped by hard work. For decades, the towering steelworks defined the landscape and the people. Now, as the heart of this town slows down, thousands of lives are at a crossroads. But this story isn't just about loss. It's about resilience, creativity, and community. The steelworks weren't always here. This land has been shaped and reshaped over centuries, from farms to monasteries and finally the steel giants that have now become part of the town's identity.
If you look at Wales, it dictated the price of coal, copper, tin, slate to the rest of the world. Yeah. The history that's around us is phenomenal. I knew some of the historians, I know some of them, and they're not going to live forever. So what you do is, you're like a sponge. Give it to me so I can pass it on. Yeah.
Emily Charlotte Talbot had inherited the estate. That was 1890. She created Port Talbot, really, to be honest. She gave money for schools, for churches, for hospitals, for refugees at the time of the First World War. The old bar of Avon stopped being any use because ships got bigger and it was just a little river mouth estuary. So her father got involved in developing new docks, but those docks were now too small as well. They needed to be improved. So Emily Charlotte came in. She talked to the Port Talbot Dock and Railway Company, and she put £44,000 into setting up a steelworks. But it didn't go very well, and after a couple of years it went bust. So she owned all the assets because she put in the money to get it started. And so then she went to Baldwin's, who were also involved with steel, iron and steel, and they came in and they worked together, and from that point on the steelworks thrived. When I came here in the sort of late 60s, early 70s, this was known as Treasure Island. You know, it's why they could build the Avon Lido, they could do all of this, they could develop the library service, quite a lot of other services. And then I think sometime in the 70s, the steel company appealed against the rates and they were cut back considerably, so the council had rather less money. But they were still not too badly off, you know. Then they sold it off to Chorus, and then Chorus sold it off to Tata. I think when Tata came in, they had ambitions, because I remember they set up a lovely new visitor centre. That was one of the places I met Graham Rowlands first.
You're having an opportunity to see the last remnants of the Industrial Revolution in Wales. The converter's in there. There's an explosion doors. So he's going to pick a ladle up now. What they do, they engage another hook at the back, and the hook tilts the ladle. The steel industry's been my life, and you know, I got it all tattooed on me. I got blast furnaces and Bessemer plant. So it's
that's why they call about having it in the blood then, isn't it?
well, you know, my father worked here before me. He was 38 years. My son worked here. So the road that we're going to be travelling on now is a Grange road. It's called now. Grange is a name. It's a monastic name for a farm, and you'll see remnants of a farm as we go on. So the monks that were here were linked to the monks in Margam Abbey. So they were Cistercian monks, the same as the monks in Margam Abbey. And they reckon there's a tunnel here that goes from here into Margam Park.
Please will you introduce yourself, Graham, and tell us a little bit about why you're so excited about the history and heritage of Port Talbot.
You'll have to bear with me. 6 weeks ago I was in a hospital bed suffering a stroke. This is my 46th year in Tata, Port Talbot. I've seen quite a number of changes. When I started there were 18,500 people working there, which whittled down to 9,500, and it's been a gradual decline ever since. We are about to enter a new phase in Port Talbot as steelmaking is phased out. It's not a very good thing to experience, but unfortunately that is the way of the world, and rather than fight it, we must embrace it. And we must remember what it meant to people to work in the steelworks. A number of people sadly lost their lives in the industry, but it was part of the dangers that we undertook day by day.
We brought a load of street artists in and we created a memorial garden, which was opened by Michael Sheen and a lady called Diane Botcher. I don't know if you've ever seen the film Twin Town.
Yeah.
She was the mother.
Right.
Right, and I know her, that's why I brought her in. And it was a wonderful day. You know, we had widows here whose husbands worked there. They never experienced the plant. It was an opportunity for them to see the plant.
Yeah.
And to see a memorial garden that commemorates their loved ones. This was the first caster one in 1982, my 21st birthday, and we burnt the plant down.
You look proud of that.
So these are the tools that they use in the ingot route. I hid, believe it or not, an ingot mold on a bottom to bring it back and to create an area for people. So if you turn round, if you look behind you, I wanted it to depict people who passed away. Don't know they've passed away. They've gone into work. They try to talk to somebody. They realise they're no longer part of the human race. And they're looking for the light. And they're moving towards the light. So that's what it depicts. You can imagine how emotional it was, explaining to widows what it was all about.
Well, you just gave me blooming goosebumps just now.
Who's to say there's another day? Who's to say with time? Who's to say that the price we pay behind their eyes disguise? Who's to say it's a step too far? Who's to say it's so? Calling time on your recent past, you'll be so glad to know. So here's what to do. Here's what to say. With sustain and delay.
Come on in.
The history for me, I created a timeline which stretched 44 meters and is situated in the Bosphorus.
So this is the last timeline I did. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we drove past. So you can see it now before the steelworks.
Yeah.
And this is the Morva mine. So you can see the workings. So in depth the workings are. And so where that monument is, that would be. Yeah. Remember telling you about the farm and the lake?
It goes back to 1300, where the monks were smelting on the site. Though part of the new process means that they can going to be filling in a lake which is adjacent to the plant that I work in. And in that lake is the Theodoric Grange. A grange is a word for a monastic farm. I want them to dig out the grange and use the grange as a means for people to come in and see their history and heritage.
Stories like that remind us that why not here? Why not put Tolb at the centre of the world for so many years and for so many things? So thank you, Graham, for all your work to preserve that important history. Thank you very much.
Jeff is a one-off, you know. Yeah, I think quite highly of Jeff.
He's an absolute star.
He's a gentleman.
Yeah.
There are not many gentlemen like Jeff.
No.
You can see Jeff's paintings, yeah.
Just the detail he gets in his stuff.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I do a sketch, because I'll be taking photos and then I'll draw a quick line drawing of what it is, and I will make notes alongside certain areas that I really want to capture or bring out, like, you know, and others I want to fade into the background. There's absolutely no abstract in my work at all. You know, it is what it is. They are illustrations. At the end of the day, they're illustrated, but they tell the story, and that's important to me. Is to be the storyteller. Every painting tells a story, and then when you get the exhibition, it tells a much bigger story. It was going to be a series of paintings on steel and tin plate, and I started it 2.5 years ago, and started doing the drawings ready for it, and 1 or 2 paintings, and it was going to include various different steelworks and tin plate works that had closed down in the region, and also working ones as well. And what happened was, I was contacted by Graham Rowlands, who was the archivist in Margam, because I'd done a couple of shots of Margam, and he said, Jeff, come down into the factory, and we'll have a look around, take some photos, do a series on Margam. So about 2 years ago, I actually started painting what was then going to be 12 paintings of Margam Abbey steelworks. And now with the closure of Margam, a great deal of urgency in getting this exhibition up and running. This is taken over as my priority of work for the time being, because this is something that I wasn't originally planning on, but it's something that has to be done in order to record the historical moment and historical time that's going on in Margam. There's a great deal of sadness about the actual closure of the works, and of course it's going to affect people, it's going to affect livelihoods and the whole region, and not just the Margam Abbey steelworks, but the knock-on effect for supplies and shipping and all sorts of other things that link in with the closing down of an absolute industry. It's just a coincidence that it's come at this time, and I'm recording this, you know. So many families that have fathers, sons, daughters, brothers working in Margam. The backdrop of that has been there now since the 1950s, and of course it's all going to be gone. For the first time ever, the skyline will be completely changed.
It's hard to believe, you know, that there were houses here. Mine is
Yeah.
People actually worked then until they died, really.
Yeah.
There was no, retirement as such, because they didn't know how old they were, and they were quite happy with the lifestyle they had here. You had canteens here, you had you could wash your clothes, you had drying rooms where you could dry your clothes. So it was like a little town. You could go out for a pint. My mate said to me, his brother-in-law worked on the blast furnaces. So he was a keeper. Now the keepers were in charge of the furnace. So he walked into, they load a furnace in a buggy car. So he walked into the buggy car pulpit, and there was a woman sitting there, operating a buggy car. So he said to her, "What are you doing, love?" She said, "It's okay, I know what I'm doing." He's popped out for a pint and he told me what to do.
For generations, families have given their blood, sweat, tears, and some, very sadly, even their lives to this place.
Tony lives there, he used to live there, his son lives there. And he came down to visit him in the car, and his son gave him a dinner to take home. All right, boys. All right, yep. All right, yep. All the boys go in training. So he put the dinner on top of the cart before he opened the door, and the seals came down and ate it. What it was, you see, I was born in 1938. And the major part of the steelworks, or the modern part, was built in 1947, which was about, I don't want to exaggerate, but about 400 yards away from my home, just the other side of the mainline railway. And as kids, we played there while we were building it and things like that. And then it was obvious, you don't want to work there. It was, we knew a lot about it before we got there, I understand. But yeah, I started there 1954 with my father and my uncles. So I ended up in the plate line, and my father was in the Orchard, which was next door. Yeah, I enjoyed it there. When I went on shifts, I was driving a small crane, and the fella who taught me it was my uncle. So that sort of thing. And my father, when I moved to the next department, my father was in that one, and we used to work together. My mother used to clean the offices. So, and all the street where I lived, originally it was the main entrance to the works. So everybody had to pass our house to go into work. And then, unfortunately, when I was about 70, my mother died. And so my father and I were on different shifts. So all the cleaners then, they had to go in by 6 in the morning, the women cleaners. So they'd be knocking my door, making sure I'm awake to get me into work. And they were, most of them were my aunties and cousins and God knows, they all worked there. It was a real good place. And then, of course, Andrew worked there, and Michael, my other son, he worked there as well. And it's been a good thing for the town, and, well, for me personally, excellent,
What made you get a job in the steelworks?
Well, my brother was working there before me, Michael, and he nagged the managers about getting me a start, because I was contracting with the local contracting firm called William Press, which no longer exists, and he nagged, and in the end it was the type of time when you didn't really have to go through much of an interview. So I sort of had a phone call, go and see a manager called Alan Morris. I went down and he said start on a Monday.
So no qualifications or anything needed?
They didn't stress any qualifications then. I had 3 or 4 levels from school, but nothing really mattered at that time, because they just needed people who were reliable, who to turn up to work and to work the weekends and to work horrible shifts. And they didn't need people with any qualifications, to be honest. And some of the ones who weren't qualified were better operators than the ones who were.
So what part was you in to start?
I started off in Kneeling Bay for 5 weeks, which is like heaven compared to a lot of the places in there, because it was like a job and finish every shift. But it was all to do with working with a overhead crane, which when you're not used to it was a little bit daunting, it was scary. So I had 5 weeks on air covering Alan Doyle, who was Francis Doyle's brother. And I was told after that 5 weeks you'd probably be laid off, which would have been Christmas time. But instead of being laid off, I went into the picket line. And everybody hated the picket line. It was where everybody was sent because of naughty boys. But I ended up going in there and having a thoroughly great time for 20 years in the picket line.
On the picket line for 20 years?
In 20 years, yeah.
I was there for what, 3 months with Scott?
Yeah.
That was enough for me.
It's a loud and nasty, smelly place, but because of the conditions weren't great. That was what it drew the people together, and because the work wasn't particularly tasking, other than it was boring and continual.
Yeah, when I first started, I was scared just driving on site. The size of the machines going past, unbelievable. Then you go through the boss band and things like that, and you were the older boys who were just walking through the boss band, and you was hiding behind things like, what's that up there?
That's right, yeah.
And he didn't seem to bat an eyelid at.
It'll be strange if they close it. And I would like to say, well, yeah, before you close it, after you close it, put it back to what it was like before. Because I remember what it was like. This is all wildfowl and big duck pond with swans on it and things like that. And that was the Sunday afternoon when we was kids, before they built it, to walk down there and feed the swans and things like that. And of course, a magnificent beach there. And the farmhouse, which they covered with all the spoil and the waste slag and things. There were two little, we used to call them woods. They were like little, I don't know, copses, very small little forests of pine trees. And we used to, the black woods we used to call it, because it's very dark. And you're playing there, and it was sad then when last time I went down that way, they were gone, all covered by the slag, you know. So I wonder if they will put it back to the way it was.
As we navigate economic and emotional upheaval, the significance of mental health support becomes increasingly vital. For many men, losing their job at the steelworks strips away their sense of identity and purpose. Yet groups like Lads and Dads provide a sanctuary where men, including Andrew Mason, find comfort in nature and camaraderie.
Yeah, they're already cooked. Like, the food will be ready if you want to grab yourself a bowl or a pan. Help yourself. Give me 2 minutes and I'll sort it out.
You know, like on the Facebook pages with Lads and Dads, you know, some of the advice, some of the discussion topics, some of the things that people put up on there. It's also educating on you what to look out for in other people. So at the moment, I'm cutting up some cotton sheet that someone's kindly donated, and then we're going to put it in this tin here, which we're then going to put on the fire we made, and then the heat will almost charcoal the cotton, apparently. You fill the holes afterwards, stop the oxygen getting in, and then that can be used as really good kindling. So next time we're out and about, it'll be easier to light the fire.
Can I tear off a bit to use out?
You got a piece?
You can have it. Let's try and tear this off now.
So unfortunately I had a marriage breakdown, and so it took a toll on my well-being and sort of feeling of worthlessness, I suppose.
Yeah.
So then just happened, I think I seen one of the guys is in the van and seen the advertising things.
Yeah.
And I sort of seen it on the Welsh News, I think, or on online. So I checked it out and then thought, that seems interesting.
Yeah.
And from there then I sent a message, got accepted, thankfully. And I've been on a few walks, and obviously today now we got to know a few of the guys. So that's how I got into it. 10 years ago, I was working in the steelworks in Port Talbot and Llanwern. I worked in a few different departments, but I was primarily health and safety. So I covered steel and slab, hot mill, cold mill, logistics departments. So I got to experience quite a lot of the site there in Port Talbot and Llanwern actually. There's a camaraderie, I would say, that you probably don't get in other industries that I've experienced since. I think, you know, for not just now, but the feeling of backs against the wall. You don't feel like you get a lot of support, I suppose, from the government. It's always you against everyone else in many respects. So I think there's a lot of people there who are similar as well. You know, a lot of people from the local areas who got similar stories. I remember my dad worked at Everale Steelworks, and we went through the whole family, went through the closure there with my dad. So I suppose it's a little bit for the people now of losing their jobs, of history repeating itself, just in a different place. And I think I remember as a teenager, it's the only time my mum actually told my dad to go to the pub, because he was so upset, and she was like, you just need to, you know, go and talk to your mates, go and let off some steam. Yeah. Because, you know, it was a big thing. He'd been there since he was 16, and then all of a sudden, in his 50s, was told, you haven't got a job anymore. He had good friends. He was also members of rugby teams, you know, and on the committee. So that was his release, I suppose. So he had people there that, I don't know whether he talked to them, because I was just a child myself, I suppose, and you know what it's like. As dads, you tend to try and shield things from your children, so he didn't really show his emotions much. Yeah. But yeah, no, hopefully, I'd like to think that he had mates around him that he could talk to. And like I said, you know, fortunately, he did have the opportunity to go and work somewhere else. It wasn't ideal for him or my mum, but it wasn't too bad, I suppose. I think there's lots more appreciation of men's mental health now than there was. You know, like my dad had the rugby club, but whether they would have appreciated mental health, they would have felt sorry for him losing his job. Yeah. But maybe associating that with then mental health issues and feeling that he, you know, the struggles he had. Yeah. I'd be very surprised if people connected that. Yeah. Back then, now, you know, I'm in a health and safety role, so through my workplace, not just outside, I understand the importance of supporting people. Yeah. So I think there's a lot more men willing to talk these days. I'm not saying this for, you know, everybody, and I think we gotta share the message more, you know. But I feel like if you know, there are more avenues than there used to be.
Yeah. But I notice here you guys aren't like you know, all sitting down and talking about your deep dark secrets all the time. You're doing stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, this for me today now, learning new skills and experiences. That's just good for your mental health. You know, you don't need to talk about what you're going through all the time. Just being out in the environment and sitting around with the guys, watching people enjoying what they're doing is a pleasure. Yeah. And that's good for your mental health anyway. You know, I'm in a far better place now than I was a year ago. A year ago, you know, I was really struggling, but now, you know, I feel content, I feel happy, I feel a sense of self-worth again that probably I lost. Yeah. And today, really, it's less about me talking about it. It's almost more about me interacting with guys and learning new skills, and you know, and supporting Dave as well in this new venture, I suppose.
Yeah. What's Dave's new venture then? Tell us about what you know about Dave's venture.
In terms of the Muckle Mile company that he's looking to start up, you know, Dave's been very good in offering his time and his services to lads and dads, and you know, he's been invaluable in setting this up today. You know, when you arrive, it's not exactly slumming it, is it? You know, we've got some amazing facilities and the tea and coffee, and I know you've been planning this for weeks and weeks and weeks, you know, as well as doing his normal job. So I think this is another string to his bow and his skill set he has for outdoor activities where, you know, we can all experience new things, like, you know, what I'm doing here, this cotton charcoal. I've never even heard of that before.
When I started here, you
Martin Wagstaff champions initiatives to support workers grappling with redundancy, working tirelessly to combat the isolation that threatens so many lives.
I'm Martin Wagstaff, Mental Health Officer at Trevelyan Boys and Girls Club. We deliver mental health awareness sessions on sports and community projects around South Wales on the back of a tragic incident we had at our club where we lost one of our much loved committee members and friends. We are now reaching out to over 1,500 people, 25 clubs, and we've got a base at the club here called the Hub at the Ennis, which provides a facility for people to be safe.
Rob Lesson is from there and a director with Lads and Dads, Men's Mental Wellbeing CIC, based in Regent, but does do a lot of work across the whole of South Wales and further afield.
I live on the front of the mountain there. When I look out my window every day, I look at a train. And I stand there and I look and I look and I look every day. Somebody rings me up, I stand in the window on my phone and I'm looking at the steelworks. It's part of us. But when you look out there and that's not there anymore, and whether we're talking men's mental health, we're talking female, we're talking juniors, whatever we're talking, the impact on our town will dampen the mood.
The identity has changed.
The identity will change.
I'm no expert, and I would never ever pretend or try and insult somebody about their town or where they live and their people, right? For me, I trust people, right? I don't have to earn my trust. You can lose trust very quickly, right? So from an outside in perspective, how can we support that process?
We need people that people can go and talk to, and people can trust, and we're on the same level as people. And understand the cultures, and that's huge for me.
Yeah, trust. You just said that word, trust. It's a huge word. It gets bandied about a lot, doesn't it? People sometimes are rightly skeptical of things because we'd heard someone say this before, or we're going to try this, we're going to do this. Oh well, that happened once before and it never happened. This isn't about fireworks, right? This is about a longer term plan and how this is going to look probably moving forward for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
This isn't going away.
No, not at all.
It's not going away, and people do things and you see them and they walk away because it can't change overnight. It's not an overnight thing, it's a long-term support network of people. And I think what I've looked to build here from Trevelyan is a support network that I can feed into and signpost people out. They come to me for a chat, but I'm not the expert.
Absolutely right.
It's like the 3 people we have coming here to have counselling. I can't do that, but I can be the face, I can be the trust, I can be the person that sends them to the expert. And I think that's what people want. They want like-minded people that they can come and talk to.
At Taibach RFC, the Panto group is bringing back the old rites of passage for young men, giving them a sense of brotherhood when it's needed most. With job losses and uncertain futures, these moments of laughter, banter and support mean everything.
In my defense, I had a man to do it yesterday.
When I was young, well not that young, was I a warm gun pointed to
Fathers and sons even join in, finding connection across generations.
Yeah, so I'm Steve Lloyd. I'm part of the Panto crew. I think I'm on my 6th or 7th now. I work in the steelworks, like most of the people around here, and being part of this Panto group is one of the best things I've ever been involved with. Very much like being part of camaraderie in the steelworks, which I've always had. Being part of the Panto does the same thing. It gives you. Well, it gives me, you can leave all your worries of work behind when you come in here on a Sunday or a Wednesday and you have a crack with the boys. Yeah, that's what I like about it most. It's a good community spirit. We get taken the mickey out of each other a lot, but yeah, certainly it's a good environment to be in, and you can forget what's going on behind us. even though it's always in your mind. But yeah, this thing is just, for me, it's been part of the family, really. We're a band of brothers. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but that's exactly what it is, really. My son's in it this year. Yeah, it's good. It's a family affair, really.
Yeah, I'm Stevie. I work in the club and I'm in a band as well with one of the other boys who's in the Panto this year, so we're called the Sports, we are.
What does it mean to you to come to the Panto and be part of this environment? What made you think, yeah, I'll have a go at that?
Well, I've always liked watching the Panto, and it seems like it's like everyone's like good mates in it, isn't it? So
yeah.
Like, it's like a couple of my mates are doing it as well now, so it's just like going off.
But it's the forfeits, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that was what was putting me off. Like, I don't know. Do all that stuff, like.
Yeah, in the brotherhood, you've got to do a bit of a forfeit challenge if you make a mistake or drop a line.
Yeah. So
and they are.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's gonna happen. Well, he's a Panto virgin with the rest. We call the newbies a Panto virgin. So all Panto virgins tend to be up for every punishment going every night.
Running's been my life, really, and out of there, I kind of got pretty good, ended up running for my country, run for Wales. I'm the race director of the Richard Burton 10K that takes place in Carmarthen, Port Talbot. Back in 1981, I went to Mass, I came out of Mass and Chris was there. He came up to me, how's it going in the Navy? We had a quick chat. He said, I gotta go. I'm going to the Pictures in Swansea, which some people will call it the cinema now. But off he went, 2 cars pulled up. Chris jumped in one of the cars. 15 minutes later, those 2 cars went off the road and 3 boys were killed. Chris Rees, Avon David and Wayne Smith. They were in the same car. The families and the whole community in Carmarthen then, they got together and they put a fun run on, which was 1982, which was 10K. It wasn't called the Richard Burton 10K then. They ran that race and raised money for the families. And what they decided to do is build a gym for the people in Carmarthen, because there wasn't a gym there, and that's what they done. The race carried on and it all went to raise funds for this gym in Carmarthen. Following on from that, Richard Burton, his brother Graham Jenkins was on the committee, and then they asked Richard, could we name it after you? He was alive then. So Richard said, of course you can, and that's where the Richard Burton 10K name was born. So over the years as well, Elizabeth Taylor donated money, Sally Burton. I've won the race a couple of times. I've had a photo and a little kiss on the cheek of Sally, so that's my claim to fame. It's more than a road race, really, is what we say. It's just a huge thing. We celebrate the culture of Port Talbot, of Carmarthen, of Pontrhydyfen and Richard Burton himself. That's what we like to do. Has it helped me? Of course it's helped me. You know, I've gone through lots of things in my life. You know, that's why we put the race on. And I think fitness is absolutely massive. And even in boxing as well, I think it helps as people come to the gym that have troubles as well, and they feel much better.
So this is James Wallace. He's my head coach, but don't tell him I said head coach. He's ex-world kickboxing champion, ex-MMA champion. His belt's on the wall, all is. He's been with me, I've been with Wally probably about 10 years now. Like drifting out of the gym, fought MMA for him. He's been in my corner for all but I think 1 or 2 bare knuckle fights. It's Will Bladen, he's a medic in the army. He does the cuts up here. And then these are guys who have been sort of members in and out of the gym as Christian, grown man now, he's coming back. Adam Nichols, and then just all members who I can't really name off the top of my head because I am a little bit punch drunk. I've always written poetry. I've probably written poetry as long as I've been a fighter. It's just that, like, I did a workshop in like my younger school days, and I wrote a pretty good poem. And it's like always been there for me, but because of the world we're in, I kind of kept it like quiet and secret. I thought it was like, you know, like a stupid hobby, you know, something I was worried about telling my peers about. And then when lockdown happened, There was no gyms, no fights. I wouldn't say I struggled with mental health, but I did struggle, for purpose. And I started writing. A friend of mine passed away, and it was a way to help deal with grief as well. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I got in contact with Gav and John, and we started the Drunk Poet Society, and we're nearly 3 years strong now. It's been a hell of a journey. This is Avon Ales. On the lively station road, there is a sound. Attentive listening is required, for miss it you may. A beat like a drum, persistently coupled with laughter and some tears too. The heart of the little town, some would say. A warm glowing light, cutting through the smog, but not of industry, a sign of the times. Cost of living rising, food bank queues growing, war on the horizon. Through the gloom, the Drunk Poet Society and their rhymes. A ray of light, a sliver of a sight of something more. Art, beauty, poetry, a room filled with love, with hope, with belonging. Avon Nails on a Friday night, becoming a song of law. Thank you.
Men need full support, mind, body and soul. Sean Tobin, who leads the Richard Burton 10K, knows this all too well. Even full contact sports, as James Lilly shows, can be a way to turn anger into something meaningful, proving that strength and care can go hand in hand. Port Talbot's skyline is changing, and with it, the steel heart of this town feels like it's been torn away. In this loss, there's pain, a sense of death as the familiar fades. Future's uncertain with no promises of what lies ahead. Yet some have begun to reinvent themselves, while others stand on the edge, facing the unknown. It's raw, unsettling. But still, there's hope. Hope that from this ending, something new might one day emerge.
Is an off license, and we were initially just selling your run-of-the-mill alcohol. We started doing a little bit of craft ales then started bringing in a little bit of the music crowd, the poetry crowd, and one big thing that we noticed was a lot of people were popping in to get drain beers, and they were all heading to Cardiff, Swansea, because they felt there was nowhere and no one wanted to listen or see their stuff in Talbot. So we then became an off-licensed bar, and we started holding our first evenings. We hold Drunk Poets, we hold multiple grassroots music gigs a year, we hold comedy, we have life drawing classes, and we've just evolved the cultural hub we are at the moment.
One finger over a guitar, like up and down, like on one string.
Yeah.
And then just gradually, once you get the urge to want to play the guitar or play an instrument, that's what you can only do that once you've got the urge. It happens really quickly then. Once you've got it, because you're picking it up all the time, thinking about it all the time, and then all of a sudden then it just goes up. Once you know that there's a rewards at the other end, when it's in there, and you fly in.
I'm Phil, aka the Vat Man, aka Phil Vat, aka Vatmando, Aubrey Straw, you name it, I got a pseudonym.
Yeah, my name's Simon. I was born in Port Talbot and I've lived here all my life, and I love the town. The art scene, the culture scene in Port Talbot is strong. I think it has been for quite a few years now. You know, we've got the big names that have come from the town, like Michael Sheen, Andy Hopkins, Richard Burton, all the ones that people know. I think there's a lot more unsung heroes here, doing a lot for the community. People like Gavin at Davin Hales.
With my old band back in the day, Aubrey Straw in the 90s, we always tried to pioneer an original music scene where there wasn't one previously. Bands from Rio would say they were from Swansea or from Cardiff, but we thought, no, we're going to break our mould. I'm quite proud to be from Talbot and say it. We did achieve a modicum of success in that, but we found that we were standing alone, really. So since then, I've always tried to unite bands to have like more of a stronger together attitude and to build up a scene. And that's culminated recently in me joining forces with Jackson Lucet and elevating Shiny Binder Presents as a not-for-profit record label. But not only the music scene, it's things like joining forces with other creatives. This is my segue to Simon.
Yeah, I started a culture zine a couple of years ago called Talbot Culture Club, which has a mixture of all of those things, you know, interviews with local musicians, short stories, poetry, art, photography, and a little bit about the scene, what's going on in the town as well, whether there's gigs on or events and things like that. But just a platform really for people to show their wares, which is difficult to get in a small town like this. So I see Port Talbot as a muse for me in my art really, and most of my art is based around the things I see and experience in Port Talbot. And I think that will always be the case. So if I can help others do the same and give them an opportunity to show their work and gain confidence in what they do, then there's a win for me, really.
The soil beneath our feet tells a story of resilience. Once poisoned by industry, it now shows signs of new life, much like the people of this town.
I'm Phil Samwell. I'm a cider maker from the Avon Valley. We're in between the trees in the festival down by Merthyr Mawr, having a fabulous time. Tremendous artists and culture is fantastic. Yeah, so it's a shame to see that the steelworks sort of declining, where it's been such a huge sort of industry of our time in Port Talbot, which where it all began in Carmarthen really, which is a small little village about 2.5 miles north of Port Talbot, where they had they smelted iron there, copper works, tin works, brick works. It was a huge industry. They even have to make a sort of huge sort of chimney which ran up to the top of the Vole Mountain, as they call it, or the Oil in Welsh. And they used to take the poisonous gases then up to the top of the mountain, where they would dispose of, because of the people of Carmarthen were suffering with the fallout of the poison smokes and gases of the industry. Yeah, so that sort of ended by a huge march, which was a cry for bread in the early 1900s. And yeah, so they marched from Carmarthen all the way down to Margam Park to the Talbots to the house to try and protest of not shutting the copper works because obviously everyone was going to lose their jobs, which they did. And yeah, so there was a big cry for bread march, which was thousands of people marching down to the Margam house. So just under the topsoil now you'll see the scars of you know, so it's like the last 40 years of my life I've seen it grow greener, where sort of the industry was, you know, it was dead, it was no greenery, so, but at the moment it's sort of, we were having a little bit of topsoil, so that's where, you know, there's, you know, we started planting some apple trees and learning which apple trees will grow in the bad soil that we've had, you know. So that's how I've become a cider maker in the valleys, where it's never been seen before, because obviously the industry destroyed the topsoil. And yeah, so at the moment we are growing some really nice Welsh heritage apple trees to make some lovely great cider.
Young people like Alexa and Bianca Samuel are cultivating new roots, proving that Port Talbot's future will be shaped by those brave enough to grow from its past.
From leaving school, I found it really hard finding work here.
Did you? Yeah.
Very, very hard, because if you don't know anyone who owns a business, then all you've got really is the steelworks.
Right.
So I was in and out of job seekers, and then I obviously found some help with Avon College, where they helped me go on to a course to try and get into uni.
Yeah.
I finally got into Cardiff Met, and then I came back and there still wasn't any jobs for me.
Wow.
So the best thing for me was that I could start a business and hook my art to the business as well.
Are you a fine art graduate or an
illustration
graduate? So you create all the cover work for the bottles, is that
all
right?
the labels,
Yeah, and that's based on your father's and your family's interests.
Yeah. Me and my dad obviously had the idea of making a cider company. And he always loved the word outstringer because he is an outstringer. We both always flow birds of prey.
Yeah.
So there, over there, that's my dad's word.
Do you make video? Are you on Instagram? Things like that? Yes, we are on Instagram, and we are in the making of making little videos of like information and just like more about like our characters and who we are, because I feel like that's important as a family business as well, to show like our bond and why we do what we do and why they're all interested, and how my dad loves birds.
Yeah.
That's a nice word.
Yeah.
Really. That's where the passion comes from, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's twisted. Yeah. You're part of the business. You do other things as well, like people would have a link and an interest. But where do you see the business going? Because obviously you're Mr. Ostringer and daughters, right? So it's going to be kind of coming to you as something like you guys always meet up, do you reckon?
Yeah.
So where do you see it going?
So to be honest, we're working really hard on structuring the business, where obviously I'm a woman and it's quite hard to work in this field on your own.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to structure it so we can sort of take over it in the future. It's
Okay.
been quite hard.
Right.
But hopefully in the future we'll actually be able to employ people as well.
Yeah.
Because if my dad tucks in and doesn't want to
Oh.
do it, there's no way that I could do this on my own. It's
No.
just so cool.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will have plans to carry on.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You've all got it all wrapped up together, haven't you, really?
It's just all fun.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan Davis. I'm a steel worker, street artist. I'm from the village of Blaengwynfi, up the Avon Valley.
What do you paint?
I paint purely out of pleasure, mostly, like, you know, it's just the camaraderie with my brother here and just doing it purely for the enjoyment, and they've turned into a bit of a thing where people are actually employing us to do it. And, you know, being at the moment with the steelworks and all that's happening there, I've chucked all my eggs into the basket and doing this. As it happens, things have been really good for us, and we keep working at it, and it seems to be improving and getting more and more people interested in it, and people asking us to come and do it. So, you know, it's amazing, really, you know what I mean, under the circumstances and everything that's happening. Is fate maybe is involved, and I don't believe it much, but I believe in a bit of fate, so I'm just going with it, basically.
I'm a window and exterior cleaner, Steelman Exterior Cleaning Solutions. I currently work in the labs in Tata Steel, and we were kind of told the labs are going to be okay, don't worry, you know, there's going to be jobs. But I was always thinking, will the labs be okay? So then I kind of looked around for other jobs, not as good pay as Tata Steel, and I was thinking, I got to do something for myself here. So I kind of reached out to a friend who does this kind of work. He said, yeah, there's money, it's hard work, but you know, you work hard, you get paid. It's like I got light at the end of the tunnel now. Like at the start, it was daunting because like, will I get enough? I was having a bit of a panic and a wobble. Will I get enough work? I was trying to work out how much am I going to get a month? How much can we afford a month? And we kind of sitting down. But it's just every week, every month, it's gaining traction all the time. Like people are recommending me, they're recommending me, and in the end then I'm finding it, people have been brilliant.
What's a Compro tablet?
Yeah. Tablet Coffee. My son started his own business after that.
My name's Cassius Walker Hunt and I'm from Batolvat. My mother's Merlene and my dad's Nigel. I took it on myself to do a coffee place, selling proper coffee and nice furniture and nice cups and nice lighting and a nice vibe. And yeah, this is just my grandpa who was an old docker, so it's just a mural of him really.
Yeah, so I'm Nigel Hunt and I'm a co-owner of San Batablo, the founder of it. Oh, San Batablo is like a sexy name for this area, as opposed to Port Toilet or Port Thunderdome or Port Tablet or any other such derogatory term. So yeah, it's a celebration. I'd been to university, I'd done a creative writing degree in Middlesex University, so I'd always knew that it was there waiting. I just didn't have the confidence, or I wasn't put in a situation where I had to do it. I'd been doing jobs that put bread on the table that didn't particularly make me happy and that I wasn't particularly good at. I've been doing that for 15 years, which allowed me to provide for my family, which was my biggest priority. But so I lost my job in the steel crisis in 2016, and I came out with a very poor settlement. And I had 4 children, I had a mortgage and bills to pay. And so I had to make a decision, what was I going to do? So there's an old Roman poet by the name of Ovid, and he said that fear gives you wings. And I think that's what happened with me. I was quite worried about my future. I'd lost a job for life. I was insecure, I was unsettled, and I started thinking quite clearly. And I thought that I should start to do something, firstly, that I enjoyed, and secondly, that I was good at. And clothing it was for me. And I was able to get sort of my creativity and my imagination working with this brand. And here we are. I wanted to do 6 months and 6 designs when I started. And now it's nearly 9 years and we've done nearly 90 designs, so, and we're in a better position than we've ever been. Starting this brand was probably one of the best decisions I made in life.
Hello there, I'm Mike Panchellock, born and bred in Batolvat and co-owner of San Batablo Clothing. I've known Nige for like the last 25 years, at least. Yeah, myself and his brother, we grew up skateboarding together. Nige was like in university at the time. Yeah, so when Nige came back from uni, Yeah, we started kicking it, and then we had children around the same time. Yeah, so lots of good times, lots of water under the bridge.
If Port Talbot was a person, what would you say to it?
Wow, that's a big question.
The key word first, I don't stop talking normally, everybody knows me for talking too much, but is to listen. What can we do to change the situation that's making you sad? How can we work with this?
At night time, especially when I was doing a lot of travelling in my late 20s, when you take that turn by Porthcawl and you look into, that sea of lights, it's like a warming metropolis.
We think it's the steelworks because it kind of towers over everything, doesn't it? It's a big, imposing presence, and it's important. It employs people and it gives us an obvious sense of identity. But actually, I think it's the people really that are important, aren't they? And that can go on. We're still here.
A lot of outsiders and stuff, they would use derogatory terms, Port Tablet, Port Toilet, so on and so forth. So, the old San Patablo collective, it started as a clothing brand and whatnot, but it's become more of a movement now.
Yeah, that general fuck you attitude. We don't care. You think we smell. We're Port Toilet or whatever. Yeah, that's right. You drive on through. We're enjoying it.
I'm gonna say now. Thank you. Yeah, for the stories, for the people, for not changing. Yeah, it's a really special place. Thank you. I was going to say I love you, but thank you came out.
This is what I would say to Port Talbot.
Don't breathe it in, just don't breathe it in. Don't breathe it in again.
Now the furnaces in Port Talbot are linked to this document, which is fast steam importer. This was in an attic, and it was given to me by a guy probably would have thrown it out.
Light is bang on time. Our only means to break.